In all honesty, I don't believe that I could possibly be any more positive about alternative cryptocurrencies, particularly XRP, than I am at the moment. I believe that everyone who is now operating in this sector is aware of the fact that there is going to be a significant surge in this industry. To put it simply, they believe that it will take a very long time to arrive to their destination. However, even when it comes to Bitcoin and the majority of the other cryptocurrency markets, the bids, the volume, and the money that is streaming in behind them are just stacking up behind this, boring price movement. When this market finally begins to show signs of life, it is going to take everyone by surprise. And the most important element about XRP right now that makes it so exceptional is the fact that all of the positive news is building up while XRP is trading at about 2,000, which is equivalent to about 15 cents. So with everything out of the way, let's actually dig right in. I'd want to discuss a few things with you. Let's begin with the ROUSD yield. Now that being said, the problem about ROUSD is that at the moment it is pretty much completely halted on XRP. When it comes to XRP, we are now sitting at only approximately $37.4 million. In other words, it is not at all really noteworthy. In point of fact, when it comes to ROUSD, Ethereum is beginning to take the spotlight to itself. However, I believe that this will be different as a result of the recent disclosure of the EVM sidechain. I believe that we are likely to start to see a substantial amount of ROUSD on the XRP ledger in the near future. But one thing that I will say about the XRP ledger is that we still have a lot more stable currencies that are going to debut on it this year. This is something that I will mention. On the XRP ledger, we already have Circle, which is the USDC cryptocurrency. As far as I can tell, there will be an addition of around 3 or 4 more stable coins into circulation. There is no need to be concerned since I will also discuss them in this video, as it comes to ROUSD. However, the steady coin market cap on the XRP, as well as even RWA value, is beginning to climb dramatically as compared to the previous value. Additionally, the monthly transfer volume has increased by more than 107%, and it is going to reach $3 billion. Additionally, the market valuation around ROUSD has increased by almost 55%. Jack McDonald has recently provided us with a significant update concerning the monthly independent for ROUSD that will be broadcast at this station in June and how it is now airing. With a market worth of over 440 million and continuing to rise, ROUSD has hit a new milestone. In Dubai, the DFSA has announced that Ripple USD is officially recognized as a cryptocurrency token. The utility of ROUSD was further extended by the newly established partner Alchemy, which was paid for by the company. Consequently, we have been beginning to observe ROD waking up in a significant manner. And just so you know, this market cap is not accurate at all. Are you sure that we have discussed it? In fact, the current value of the coin market cap is 455 million, which is something that we are quite excited to see. In general, ROD has been gradually expanding, which is a wonderful development, particularly at this time when we are so near to having laws enacted about stablecoins be completed. Moreover, I believe that this will also serve to reawaken ROD-C in a significant manner. And it is also quite good for the XRP ledger, taking into consideration the fact that by the end of this year it will have around 7 stablecoins on it. Now let's truly begin with a few things about the situation. First and foremost, let's begin with this piece that was published on June 24th. Are you sure that we have discussed it? On the other hand, we must return to it since it is going to provide support for my position for the remainder of this film. In light of this, CME Group did make an announcement on June 24th, stating that its XRP and micro XRP futures had demonstrated interest among both retail and institutional investors ever since they were introduced on May 19th. The interest in regulated instruments to access one of the most closely followed crypto assets is brought to light. There are almost 24.6 thousand contracts that have been transacted, nearly 43 million in notional volume, with 45% of that volume coming from outside the United States. Observing this is a really intriguing experience. I believe that the spot XRP side of the market actually recently opened up in a significant sense on the 30th. We are aware of this. It is possible that I am wrong about this, but I believe that it occurred on the 30th. I'm not really certain whether or not they have that notice up on this page. That being said, we are already aware of the fact that the XRP ETF sector of the market is waking up in a significant way. In addition, I would think that it is actually kind of expedited by things like this happening. It is motivated by the fact that XRP has been so successful up to this point in the year. XRP has been really simmering for a much greater move, but it has already been outperforming things like Bitcoin, even Ethereum, BNB and Solana. I have said this on several occasions, and it is something that I have been talking about at length. Since the beginning of the year, XRP has been a pretty amazing old coin to be keeping. I mean, this is the case. Over the course of the past year, it has continued to increase by around 360%. Additionally, I believe that players from institutions are becoming aware of this. When it comes to exchange-traded funds ETFs, I believe that this is also the reason why there is such a high demand for XRP. ETFs want to have a piece of it since it is already outperforming Bitcoin, which has been quite successful in relation to ETFs. Ethereum, on the other hand, not so much, but I believe that this is simply due to the fact that demand for Ethereum has been so modest. It is imperative that you keep in mind that Ethereum has not even reached a new all-time high until this cycle has ended. On top of that, it is still I would argue that it has been a poor performance so far in this cycle, and it is also not among the top 100 performers. Consequently, that is without a doubt a significant issue. Nevertheless, apart from that, the most important issue that I am truly focusing on at the moment is the way in which the market is developing. In a piece that I published on X, I stated that it is absurd that there are crypto holders here who have been holding their coins for years, yet still do not get how or why old currencies move. At this point, we have not yet witnessed Bitcoin's dominance formally reaching its peak and exhibiting significant symptoms of decline. Even the majority of the transfers of old coins that took place between November and January were like droplets of water in a bucket. During that period of time, the complete 3 actions taken against Bitcoin were never officially launched. It was, in point of fact, trading against opposition. If the increase on XRP from 40 cents to about $3.40 got you thrilled, then this following move will utterly stun you. This is another reason why I say this, because once again this next move on XRP will be far larger than what we recently observed, which was a move that was greater than 400% from its previous level. I believe that the whole movement of XRP from its lows in the naked market to its peak was comparable to or perhaps greater than 800%, and that is really important. For a currency that has been around for a long time and has a market valuation of, 130 billion and a fully diluted value of 220 billion, this next move has the potential to push XRP to $10 and beyond. At the same time, however, we are beginning to observe an increase in demand and institutional acceptance, which is a significant development right now. Please allow me to lead you all into this post, which was the final deadline that the SEC set for this week, about the grayscale digital big cap ETF that contains Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Salon, and ADA. Most likely you guys are recalling this post at this very now. I am referring to Nate Garashi here. He stated that there is a good probability that this would be authorized. After that, permission for individual spot ETFs on XRP, Salon, ADA, and other cryptocurrencies would be granted at a later time. On the other hand, when we consider this, we have recently received clearance for this. There is the order of permission for Grayscale's GDLC to be converted into an exchange-traded fund. This particular digital big-cap fund is comprised of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Salon, XRP, and Cardano, among other cryptocurrencies. The last day of submission was tomorrow. This was previously given the go-ahead. Approval was what we believed would occur. Over 90% of the fund is comprised of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitwise's Bitwine is scheduled to take place on July 31st, but it is possible that the SEC might go ahead earlier. It is likely that they do so because the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) is beginning to really, press the pedal to the floor and really get all of this cryptocurrency stuff properly passed through. This is because, once again, the United States is currently publicly embracing cryptocurrency in a significant way. But in addition to this, we will be going over here. As of today, the SEC has given its approval to the Grayscale Digital Large Cap ETF. The 33-Act ETF wrapper will now make XRP, Solana, and ADA available to its customers. SEC also offered more clarity on the disclosures and registrations of cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds ETFs. See where all of this is going to end up. ETFs such as Solana 88, XRP, and other individual spot ETFs are coming next. This is the statement from the SEC. Disclosures and registrations were in the red. This is what we know. In addition, I would want to express how wonderful it is to have a regulator who is not only striving to safeguard investors but also making an effort to nurture innovation. There is no better way to describe it. In a matter of less than 2 years after losing a lawsuit, the same regulator that battled Grayscale tooth and nail on spot Bitcoin ETF has recently authorized its multi-crypto asset ETF. Oh, what a change. And indeed, everything has changed substantially. And I do believe that individual